Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Jake here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. And in this one, we are going to be going over my local second Nightmare Cup of this month. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. As I try and continue my grind to 500 subscribers. So I appreciate everything you guys do, whether it be liking, commenting, or subscribing. And without further ado, let's jump right into my second Nightmare Cup video. Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. And in this video, we're going to be going over my second Nightmare Cup of this month in one of my local communities here. There's like 2 or 3 communities in which I participate in every single cup of the month. So you guys, like last month, you saw 2 Kingdom Cup videos. This month, you're going to see 2 Nightmare Cup videos, and you will be seeing my Regional Cup video in about a week or so. I have my Regional Cup this Sunday, the 26th of May. So yeah, I hope you're excited for that. Without further ado, let's get right into my Nightmare Cup tournament. I don't want to spoil you here, but yeah, you guys are going to see what happens. Let's get right into it. Alright, so right off the bat, we have opponent 1, and his name was LGT Turbo 07, and here we're looking at his lineup on screen, and we see that he has 2 fighters, 2 darks, and a Claydol. So right off the bat, we see he only has 1 Claydol. He only has 1 Confusion User. So right off the bat, we're going to open Poliwrath with Mudshot, and we are up against Toxicroak. So this matchup can sway either way depending on shields, but we're going to go straight for the Ice Punch here. He doesn't shield, so that's really good for us. Right here, we don't block that Sludge Bomb. We think that was a Mud Bomb, and he actually caught us off guard there. So now we're going to switch into our Xatu, farm some energy, and he's going to bring in that Alolan Raichu. And we know Ominous Wind is going to do a ton of damage, so we're going to have to block this Thunder Punch because that is super effective. And we're just going to go for another Ominous Wind here, trying to force both shields out, and we do force both shields. So now we're just going to let our Xatu fall, and we're going to hope that our Drapion can clean up this game because we do have the shield advantage, but he gets off this final charge move, and it is a Thunder Punch, and we're going to eat that. We're going to go for the Aqua Tail here to KO the Alolan Raichu, and we do have a tad bit of stored energy left, but his last Pokemon, unfortunately, it was that Shiftry, and that game was pretty close, so I probably should have just blocked that T-Punch there from Alolan Raichu, because in the end, that is what caused me the loss there. So anyways, going into game number 2, we're going to run, let's see here, we're going to take a look at his team once again. And so we notice here that his team is quite weak to Confusion users. At least Lucario and Toxicroak is. And then we also know that his team is also quite weak to Toxicroak, because Toxicroak beats Umbreon, it beats Shiftry, it can beat Alolan Raichu, and it can beat Lucario hard. So in this next match, let's take a look here. In this next match, we're going to run the 2 fighting strategy. We're going to run a double fighting, I believe. Yes, we're going to run the double fighting with the Drapion. This is kind of a risky strategy, guys, so just beware. You have to make sure you trap their Confusion user with Drapion. So here we have another Toxicroak versus Poliwrath matchup. We're going to go for the Ice Punch there. And we know he's going to come at us with a Mud Bomb this time. So we don't block. And now we're going to go for another Ice Punch here, and which is going to force a shield. We're going to feint, but that's okay. Because we are going to show our Drapion rather than our Toxicroak. So we're going to block that Sludge Bomb. We are going to finish off the Toxicroak here with an Aqua Tail. And now We know he probably isn't running 2 fighters, so he brings in his Claydol. And this is really good for us. His Claydol has Earth Power, but as you can see, Aqua does so much damage that we can just block this Earth Power, and we can finish off this Claydol here with an Aqua. So let's see what happens. He's going to block. Good. Now we're going to get to another Aqua. We're going to finish off the Claydol here, and let's see what his last Pokemon is. So his last Pokemon is Alolan Raichu. So here, we almost switched out, but we just went for the crunch, and we finished off with Alolan Raichu. So, yeah, GG in game number 2 in round 1. We are now 1-1 in the series, and we need to take this last game to get a W here. So, yeah, guys. One thing to note is if you are looking at their team and you only see one Confusion user, there's a good chance you can run the fighting strategy that I'm running. You just need to make sure that you have a strong, hard counter to whatever the Confusion user is. So if it's Claydol, Drapion works. If it's Hypno, pretty much any of the dark types will work against the Confusion users. So yeah, we knew that Toxicroak had a ton of winning matchups against this line, which is why we ran this line a lot. Alright, so going in this last match, we're going to run Gallade, Drapion, and Poliwrath. Gallade is to counter the fighters, and Poliwrath is to counter the darks like Umbreon, which is the opener. So this is an awful opening matchup. We have to block this foul play, and we're going to try to bait the shield here with a Leaf Blade. And we do get the shield, so that's good. And we are going to get greedy here and try to go for the close combat. But at this point, I didn't want to invest both shields, so I just let Gallade fall. Now, this is definitely an uphill battle here. So he swaps out into Raichu. He's going to block that first Power Punch, which was interesting. We're going to switch into Drapion here and block this Thunder Punch. And now we know he has no shield. So we're going to farm a little bit of extra energy. We're going to feint out the Alolan Raichu there with Crunch. And he brings in his Lucario. So now I'm like, okay, this is kind of bad. We luckily get this Crunch off to do some extra damage, which actually does quite a bit. But now Poliwrath is here, and those counters are powered up and doing a bunch of damage. So we're gonna feint the Lucario there with a Power Punch, and his last Pokemon is Umbreon. So the question here is, can we take a foul play? Yes, we can. We can actually tank 2 at this point. But can we get to the last Power Punch and finish this game? Yes, we can, and we take game 3 of round 1. Let's go. Man, I absolutely loved Poliwrath in this tournament, guys. With Mudshot, he just spams those Power Punches, and he spams those Ice Punches. He is definitely a force to be reckoned with, so. Yeah, that Shift Tree could have definitely been dangerous if he ran it in the follow-up games, but he did not, so. Yeah, the biggest flaw in his lineup was that 4 out of the 6 were weak to Toxicroak, so. Example being Umbreon, Shift Tree, Alolan Raichu, and Lucario. Alolan Raichu, it can sway depending on shields, but for the most part, you can at least go even with Toxicroak. Basically, the only thing that's an actual counter to Toxicroak in that line he had was Claydol. So make sure you guys run 2 Confusion users on your line, or at least run like a Confusion user and a Xatu. I highly recommend it. Or else people will run a double fighter against you. Alright. Now let's jump into round number 2 of my Nightmare Cup tournament. Alrighty guys, here we are in round 2. We are going up against our friend named Jenny, aka their in-game name Spasmodic. And in this one, we noticed that they're running Toxicroak, Claydol, Poliwrath, Xatu, Bronzong, and Drapion. And you can see my lineup here on the screen. It's going to be Poliwrath, Gallade, and Drapion. We saw that they're running 2 Confusion users. So Poliwrath, Bronzong. Or not Poliwrath, Bronzong, Claydol, sorry. So right off the bat, we know we can't run that fighter strategy. So right off the bat, we know Poliwrath at least can hit Claydol with super effective damage from his Ice Punch. And it also can combat against Xatu with Ice Punch as well. It also wins the Drapion matchup. And it can do okay against Toxstroke. Then Gallade here, we know will destroy Toxstroke, it will destroy Poliwrath. It'll actually win versus Claydol with shields because it will beat it to Earth Power with Leaf Blade, and Leaf Blade will be super effective against Claydol. Xatu is a strong counter towards Gallade, but then that's where Drapion comes in. Drapion also counters Claydol and Bronzong. So, yeah, we have this lineup completely covered here on all bases. Poliwrath beats Drapion. And it can do well against Toxstroke and even Claydol with energy charged. And then Gallade covers Toxstroke, Claydol, Poliwrath. And then Drapion can mirror match Drapion. It'll beat Bronzong, it'll beat Xatu, and it will beat Claydol. So anyways, let's jump in right into round number 2 here versus our friend Spasmodic. So right off the bat, it's Poliwrath v Poliwrath. Oh my god, the mirror matches. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. Just go. There's no reason to even bother with Ice Punch. Just go straight for the power up punches. And right here, I want to break Charge Move priority, but I'm not able to. But they actually shield that first power up punch, so we're going to actually switch into Gallade here, so we can tank that power up punch. And as you can see, we chipped it down quite a bit. But they bring in Claydol, so this is where she didn't have a solid counter for Gallade. We are going to burn a shield on Earth Power, but we have Leaf Blades, which she has to shield. And as you can see, it does a ton of damage there. And she's also down to no shields. So there we're just going to finish it off with Confusions and hit this Drapion with Leaf Blade. Which, I mean, doesn't really do that much damage, but it's fine because we know we have Poliwrath. But we're going to go in for the Drapion mirror match, forcing her to switch into her Poliwrath so that she can have a positive match there. But we have the energies, and we finish off the Poliwrath. And now all we have left is this Drapion mirror match. And at this point, it's already over. I have a shield. There's really no way they can come back from this. So yeah, well played game number 1 there. Locking that Gallade in versus Poliwrath and then Claydol was crucial there, in my opinion. Alrighty, going into match number 2 here. We're not going to switch lineups. We're just going to switch the flow, as Hero Vange says. Yeah, we're going to switch the flow. We're going to lead We're going to lead Drapion this time, hoping that they lead with Xatu again, thinking I'm going to lead with Poliwrath. And yeah, let's see what happens here. This is game number 2 of round 2 versus Spasmodic. For anyone wondering, so we're almost halfway through. So they opened Bronzong, so that's really good. They probably thought I would lead Poliwrath again, but they didn't. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this is fine. We're gonna go for the crunches. We're gonna try to burn shields here. I'm not sure why I was hitting the switch. I know why. I was probably expecting a switch from their end, because this is unfavorable. So there we burned both shields, and that's why we had the switch clock open, or the switch open, because we knew they'd want to probably switch into Toxstroke there. And now our Gallade just had a free matchup, free energy farmed, and now comes in their Drapion, which actually has Bite. I didn't even realize this in the moment, but it actually had Bite. So this is actually way more favorable for Poliwrath, considering Bite won't do that much damage. So we can easily eat anything that comes from Drapion here. And at this point, we're just going to farm. They're going to switch back into Bronzong, which was very smart. But we do have the energy. And we do have the shield. So now we're just fine with letting Poliwrath fall there. We're going to block this Heavy Slam. And then we're going to farm this Bronzong the rest of the way. And we know that their last Pokemon is Drapion, and we're going to finish it off there with an Aqua Tail. And we had another one ready to go in case that one wasn't going to KO. So we take round number 2 in a 2-0 fashion. So yeah, awesome games, Jenny. I appreciate the battles. And yeah, we're moving on to round 3, undefeated. Alrighty, guys, into round number 3 here. We're going up against actually a rematch versus one of my buddies, Nate, aka Golden Pika 9000. You guys saw him in my last video on my Nightmare Cup tournament, which was my first one of the month. And he was the player who actually beat me, which caused the 3-way tie. Well, technically, I caused the 3-way tie in the end by beating the undefeated player, but in the process, I could have won if I beat him. But yeah, this is a rematch of the rivals at this point. Me versus Golden Pika 9000 for a revenge match in this cup too. And he is running pretty much the same lineup from last time. He's running the Triple Fighter, Toxicroak, Lucario, Blaziken, the Double Psychic, Alolan Raichu, and Xatu, and then one Dark, Alolan Muck. So right off the bat, we notice the Triple Fighters again. So we're absolutely going to be bringing in either a Confusion user or another fighter. So we're going to opt to go the Poliwrath, Toxicroak strat with the Double Fighters. And then we're going to go Drapion because... let's just take a look at this, guys. Toxicroak will beat Lucario. It will beat Blaziken, and it'll beat Toxicroak in a mirror. Or, well, you know, mirror. And it also beats Alolan Muck. And it can even also beat Alolan Raichu depending on shield usage. Now, Xatu is going to be a problem for this lineup. But we have Drapion there to do the super effective crunch damage. And we also have Poliwrath. Even though it's a losing matchup, Ice Punch can do enough damage and force shields out of Xatu. So yeah, there's that. And then we can clean up Alolan Raichu with Toxicroak or even Drapion if needed. So yeah, we're locking in this strategy right here in this match, and we'll see how this goes. Alright, so we're going to lead Poliwrath there. We're going to have Toxicroak in the back and Drapion in the middle. Let's see how this goes. So they open Lucario. Off the bat, this is a positive matchup for us. That super effective Mud Shot. He's going to switch out into Raichu, so that's a good switch. But now, this is exactly why we run this strategy. Because we want to lock in either the Psychic, the Confusion user, or anything else that is a threat to our fighters. So we're going to block that Wild Charge there, and we're going to try to bait another shield with Aqua Tail, and let's see if he takes it. He does take it. So he's going to bring in Lucario to charge up some energy. We're going to force his last shield with an Aqua Tail. Now, he didn't need to shield that, but he was in trouble for our last two. You guys saw what two we had in the back. So he's going to make such a good switch here, switch into Xatu, and force us to use a terrible move against Xatu. But now we're going to nearly finish Xatu off with an Ice Punch. And we have Toxicroak in the back here with the shield. So we're going to finish off this Xatu with counters, and then his last Pokemon is Lucario. So this is going to be a game. And we're going to get after that Mud Bomb to finish off his Lucario. So well played there, Nate. The pressure was on there. That switch he pulled into Xatu was incredible. In that moment, I was like, wow. That was a good switch, dude. I literally said that to him afterwards. Because that was a fantastically timed switch. Alright, going into game number 2 here. We have the series down so far 1-0 against Golden Pika 9000. And now we're just going to switch up the flow once again. We're going to open with Drapion because we wanted him... we put him in a mind game here. We wanted him to think that we were going to run the fighters again. So we tried to bait him into bringing in a Xatu here. And you guys are going to see what's going to happen. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Leading off with Drapion. Let's see if our mind game worked We're hoping at this moment for a Zatu lead. And look at that, guys. We get the Zatu lead. So right now we're like, okay, this is really good. He switches into Lucario. We're going to switch into Poliwrath, which actually, now that we think about it, was a bad switch. We should have actually just went for Toxicroak because counter would just do enough damage to knock it out. But instead, we're going to go for Poliwrath. We're going to use a shield here just so that we can force him to use his last shield or eat a power-up punch, and he's just going to eat it, so that's fine. Now we can bring out Toxicroak to farm energy. Essentially, that Lucario is just energy for us now. And he's going to switch back into Zatu. So we're going to switch into Drapion. Try to go for the shield bait with Aqua Tail. He's not going to bait, but that's fine. We're going to use a shield on Ominous Wind. He's going to switch into his own Alolan Muck. And right now we're like, oh god, this could be really bad. We know Zatu doesn't have that much energy, but we have to get rid of this Alolan Muck. He's going to use his Dark Pulse on me, just going to finish me off. But now Toxicroak can just farm the Alolan Muck the rest of the way. And we have a Sludge Bomb ready to go on Zatu, and that's a GG there. That was quite the interesting game because we actually switched Poliwrath into that Lucario, whereas we should have just went Toxicroak. But yeah, it still worked out in the end. We had the hard read on his team, and definitely we had the hard lead read as well. So, well played, Nate. If you're watching this, I got revenge this time, buddy. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into round number... Yep, let's get into the final round of my tournament. Alright, guys. Here it is. Final round, round 4 of my local Nightmare Cup tournament here. And we are up against the only other player who is 3-0 thus far. And you have seen him in other tournament videos. His name is Evenflow7. He is a very skilled trainer. He knows about the YouTubers and he watches videos, and you know, he's pretty good. Like, despite the rank, you know, he knows his stuff. He definitely knows his typings, and he definitely knows how to play these matches. But guys, you won't believe what happens in game number 1 here. I'm going to get absolutely annihilated in this game. So, but first, let's take a look at his lineup. We see off the bat he's running Toxicroak, Alolan Raichu, Spiritomb, Zatu, Drapion, and Lucario. So right off the bat, we see he doesn't have a Confusion user, guys. Do you know what this means? This means we're going for the double dark strategy, guys. Oh my goodness, this is like, in this moment, I'm like, wow. He went undefeated with that line, huh? He's got to be a strong trainer if he can go undefeated without even running a Confusion user. But that means he probably has to run Zatu every single game. So I'm like, okay, let's bring in Drapion. Perfect Zatu counter right there. Then let's bring in Toxicroak. It goes even with Toxicroak. It can beat Alolan Raichu. It doesn't have the greatest matchups versus Spiritomb, but it can still win depending on shield scenarios. Zatu is a stop to it. But then look at that. It beats Drapion and it beats Lucario. So right off the bat we have his Drapion and Lucario covered, as well as possibly his Alolan Raichu. But Drapion covers the Alolan Raichu, Drapion covers Spiritomb, and it covers Zatu. And then last but not least, we bring in Poliwrath here to pretty much ensure that this strategy will work. It'll beat Lucario, it'll beat Drapion, it can beat Toxicroak, it'll definitely lose to Alolan Raichu, but it will do pretty decent against Spiritomb, and it can actually beat Zatu depending on shields. So anyways, let's jump right into this first battle. I'm going to get destroyed. You guys won't believe what happens. RNG, dude. RNG is not on my side here. So first, it's a lead. Poliwrath versus Drapion. He's going to switch into Zatu, so we're going to go right into Drapion here. This is a really good start for us. We're not going to block that Ominous Wind, and look at what happens. He gets a boost. the first charge move in this matchup, he gets the boost. So right off the bat, we're like, okay, this is really bad. We can't fire off the Aqua Tail. He finishes off our Drapion before we could. And now we're like, well, we're screwed. We can't do anything. We have the fighters. All we have left is Toxicroak and Poliwrath. So all I can go for here is a Hail Mary Ice Punch, which we do go for. And watch this, guys. It tanks it. It completely tanks that Ice Punch. Because Zatu's defense was raised by 2, and all we have left is Toxicroak. And we can't even finish that off. We're going to have to shield this Aerial Ace, and we can finish off the Zatu finally, but look at that. It's game over. We just got swept hard by a boosted Zatu. We just got RNG screwed right there, guys. I just got swept so hard. So we lose the first game of the final round, mainly because of a boosted Zatu, and that is the only really dangerous part about running the double fighter strategy, is that and confusing users. I mean, if he didn't get that boost, we would have won that game, I feel like, because we had Zatu locked in with Drapion. That would have been a game. But yeah, anyways, let's get into game number 2. Alright, so in game number 2 here, we're going to run the same line. We're going to run exactly the same line. Actually, no, we're going to switch out Drapion in the lead and go for Poliwrath instead to see what he does here. Actually, no, we're going to go for Drapion once again. That is my mistake. And he's going to lead Lucario. So this off the bat is an awful matchup for us. We're going to have to switch right into Poliwrath. And again, I keep making this mistake of thinking that Poliwrath is a better counter towards Lucario than Toxicroak is. So we're going to get off 2 power punches here. He burned both shields right here. So I'm like, okay, this is really good for us. We know Drapion can easily do work against his lineup, especially if Lucario happens to be his only fighter. And look at that. He fires a Shadow Ball. We actually read that. We knew he was charging a bunch of energy. And now here comes his Spirit Team. We're going to hit it with a Mud Bomb right there. We know we can tank an Ominous Wind here. And we know they have no shields. And luckily for us, we get another Mud Bomb off. And I believe it KOs Spirit Team. And then here comes his Drapion. And we can get a Mud Bomb off, guys. This is game. We still have a shield. We still have a Drapion. No need to block that Aqua Tail there. Drapion is going to come in to finish off his Drapion. He's going to get that last Aqua Tail off. We're going to block because why not? And then we take game number 2 with an early shield advantage. So, yeah, in that moment, I was more thinking about trying to force shields. Especially on Lucario. You're going to want to burn shields for him. And yeah, he just decided to burn both shields really early, and that ultimately is what helped us win that matchup there. So going into game number 3 here, in the finals against Even Flow 7, we're just gonna run the same lineup again. It would have worked the first game if RNG wasn't on his side. We got him in the second game pretty nicely, and let's see how he decides to switch up his line. I mean, really, the only thing we have to worry about here is Zatu, so I'm just going balls to the walls here with the crazy Toxicroak Poliwrath strategy. Yeah, guys, this is a huge lesson. If you guys aren't running a confusion user, please do. Like, Zatu, yeah, is a counter to fighting, but this is a perfect showcase of how your Zatu can just get trapped, and how you don't have a strong backup to beat these fighters. A lot of the Pokemon in this cup get beat by fighters, but fighters have to be checked, and they get checked by any confusion user. So let's jump into this next match. This is a lesson for you guys to not only run Zatu, but also run at least one confusion user on your team. So here, look at that. He leads with Zatu. We get him in the first matchup again. We actually had a bad lead scenario last match, but yeah, we're going to go for the shield bait there with Aqua Tail. We're going to block this Ominous Wind. That was a nice shield bait there. We thought it was going to be an Aerial Ace. We're going to get off this Aqua Tail. He doesn't shield. That's good. And now we're going to let our Drapion tank that Ominous Wind, and we're going to finish off Xatu with an Aqua Tail. And now he comes in with Spirit Tomb, and we can get off another Aqua Tail. This is fantastic right here. We definitely needed that. And now we're like, okay, Poliwrath can tank these better than Toxicroak can. So we're going to bring in Poliwrath. We're going to tank that first Ominous Wind. Right there, it looked like he was trying to switch. But he actually ends up blocking that Power Up Punch. And then it switches into Toxicroak here. So I'm not sure about that. We're going to fire off an Ice Punch and nearly knock out his Toxicroak. That's fine. We're going to eat that Mud Bomb, and then we're going to bring in our own Toxicroak. And at this point, his Toxicroak is just more energy for us. And now he brings in a Spirit Tomb. And we still have a shield left, and that's going to be GG. We take the victory in this 4-round Nightmare Cup tournament. That was a hard-fought battle by even flow. 7 in that last matchup there. But overall, against a lot of the opponents in today's tournament, I noticed that only one of them ran 2 Confusion users. Which overall stopped me from using this double fighter strategy, but this video is mainly to take away from the fact that you need to run a Confusion user on your lineup, or else you're going to get swept by a double fighter strategy. Unless you can read their leads really well, you're going to have to get Xatu in a scenario where it's against 2 fighters. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this Nightmare Cup recap video. As always, I will have all of the matchups on the sides of the screen against each opponent for you guys to see. And yeah, the biggest takeaways from this tournament, again, is that you need to run 2 Psychics to counter the fighters. You need to run Xatu, and you need to run either Bronzong, Gallade, Gardevoir, Claydol with Earth Power is a big one coming up, and or Hypno with Shadow Ball, Focus Blast. And takeaway number 2 is that read your opponent's lineups and try to pick a solid team that can trap one of their Pokemon. So, like, if they're running 2 Confusion users, try to take advantage of that, run a Dark type, and essentially try to read their lead the best you can, so that eventually you'll get their Confusion user trapped, and then after that, your fighters are free to finish up the game for you. Like today, in a lot of scenarios, my fighters did really well because I trapped the only Confusion user, or mainly the only threat to my fighters, and then my fighters could easily finish off whatever was left in their lineup. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this Nightmare Cup recap, and this will be the last one of the month, I believe, but I will have a Rainbow Cup analysis up sometime this week, I think. And I also will have my regionals video coming soon, within a week or so from now. Again, mine is on the 26th of this month, so it's not till Sunday. And also, we will have a special player interview with a player who went 5-1 in his regional tournament, and we'll have that up on the channel sometime here in the next week or 2. So if you're hyped, please don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification to be notified every single time I upload a new video. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you all later. Have a good one, and peace out.